Hi George, this is Ray and Mary Mitchison. Well, I had to look it up in the book to see when you moved into town, and it said somewhere around 1981. And what a lucky day for us. You found this little house, if you can call it that, and you made it into a beautiful home, along with the help of Dave Cabanero and ideas that you and Jan had, and then after you got it all fixed, you looked around town and you found the old trolley station, and you and Dave and your plans, you made it into a beautiful historical society, and what a beautiful building it is. And then you found and people brought to you all these historical papers and things that had to do with North Chatham. And because it had been the fire company, we needed a fire company, and so I don't know exactly what you did, but I know with your help, North Chatham got a beautiful fire company building up the street up on Route 32, and so many other things that you did for the town. You with the library, the post office, when we had to kind of fight a little bit to keep our little post office, because if we didn't have our post office, I mean, where else are you going to meet your neighbors? And, the Cemetery Association, you were a big part of the Cemetery Association. There's just so many things that you were a part of here in North Chatham. Sometimes when the people from the city move up here to North Chatham, they move in and you just seem so you never see them again. They don't seem to take the interest that you and Jan did. And you just took us under your wing and made us part of your life, and we loved you and you loved us, and it just was just great for both of us, for all of us. Another thing that I was thinking about today is your piano playing. Ray says he doesn't remember, he was never around when you played the piano, but what a beautiful piano player you were. And I think of that often. And let's see, I wrote some things down. I don't remember if I covered them all. Seems so I did most of them. But anyway, I used to look forward to you out my kitchen window when I was starting to get my supper ready to see you, because I could almost set my clock by you walking up the trail on your afternoon walk on the biking trail, which we were all enjoying so much. Some people thought that was going to be a big pain in the neck, the biking and hiking trail, but so many people are using it, and you used to use it every day, and rain or shine, because sometimes I think, one time we even offered you a ride home because the weather was getting so bad, and you said, no, I can make it at least to the trolley station, and I can wait there a little bit if I have to. But you were such a big addition to the community, and we loved you for it, and we appreciated you, and we're certainly going to miss you. And thanks so much for being a part of our community.
Hello, George. This is Sandy Connors. I am so pleased to be a part of this video created by your neighbors and friends who wish to express just how much your presence here in this very special community has meant to all of us. I arrived in North Chatham almost 30 years ago and knew not a soul when I moved into my house right on the main street of Route 203. It was the land that first drew me to northern Columbia County. I came, like you, from Long Island, in the hopes of living a good life in this beautiful and gentle landscape, tucked between the foothills of the Berkshire Mountains and the rich and wonderful Hudson River, where rolling hills surround wild woods and rich wetlands. Old stone walls and hedgerows outline fertile farmlands and pastures, dotted with grazing sheep and cows, and miles of up and down roads which lead to small villages and hamlets nestled around their churches, just like here in North Chatham. When I first arrived, the Arnold's dairy cows still grazed behind my house in those beautiful fields, and I loved to see them lying by the creek on a hot summer's afternoon next to Jane Randell's little house under the old sycamore tree not far from your house. Do you remember that? My first memory of you and Jan was a few mornings after I had arrived in late October 1996. You and Jan were both out early, which was your typical routine. Jan walking in her most determined and quick stride, with you running alongside her until you eventually passed her. But you both stopped that morning to greet me, to introduce yourselves, and to welcome me to the hamlet. I discovered I had just met the couple who lived in the beautifully restored early 19th century house, which I had so admired, and would eventually be asked to do a pen and ink rendering of for your future Christmas cards and invitations, which I was so delighted to do. That Christmas, I received my first invitation to your annual holiday party, which everyone seemed to be invited to. Local farmers, engineers, carpenters, writers, artists, teachers, etc. It was a generous and festive gathering, and so wonderful to be able to meet more of our interesting neighbors. You and Jan were so good at connecting people and supporting this rich and diverse community. And I loved it at the end when you played piano and we all stood around you and sang carols. I soon realized that the post office was not only the place to get your mail, but also a vital meeting spot to hear local news and to keep up to date with my neighbors. When I first arrived, the inimitable Alberta Groves, well in her 80s, who was postmistress, was handing out not only mail, but her recommendations for the best doctors, dentists, places to get the best bargains and groceries. She was always dressed in a pretty dress adorned with costume jewelry and her blonde hair perfectly coiffed. She was so unique and very treasured by the community. We had a large celebration in her honor one year, a little parade with a large luncheon at the Methodist Church, and you, George, were the master of ceremonies and gave a lovely talk about Alberta, where she was presented with a certificate of appreciation, which you wrote and I illustrated. I was thrilled to collaborate with you on this lovely gift for Alberta. You have been a major influence and force behind almost every small or large event that has marked the passing of time in this wonderful hamlet. Joyful celebrations, as well as moving eulogies for numerous friends and neighbors, have been graced with your wonderful talents to speak for the rest of us. You are our hamlet's voice, our own poet laureate, often referred to as North Chatham's mayor, the one we could always rely on to find just the right words to express the best of our hopes, our intentions, and our love for our community. Your dedication has been unflagging over the many years of service to so many: the library, the fire department, the cemetery association, the historic society which you founded, and the beautiful trolley station which I now understand you have gifted to the library for all the future residents to enjoy. I love the stories and local lore of folks who lived here before I have, and I treasure our rich tapestry of diversity and community. You, dear George, and your Jan were such a huge part of this richness. I am so very grateful to have lived, here on our main street with you. You will be dearly missed and always remembered with love and gratitude. Thank you, George. And I am looking forward to visiting you when you get settled in your new place.
Hi, George. You do remember when we first met? It was early 1980s. You and Jan had just bought your house in the hamlet of North Chatham, and the former owners, with whom I had a dog walking acquaintance, thought it would be nice to get us together since Jim and I were also recent incomers. The four of us went to dinner in some strange place in the wilds of East Chatham. From then on, you needed a bit of help adjusting to the locals, many of whom were lifelong residents. The word came out from anonymous letters complaining that you were not married. Oh my God. And would corrupt the village children by living in sin. We circled the wagons. We saw quite a lot of each other for a while, out for ice cream, dinners at home. You even gave me the key to your shiny new Mazda Miata. Best stick shift I've ever driven. I think the first time you were involved in civic affairs was the famous protest parade of cars to a McDonald's to try to stop a proposed truck stop being built on I-90 just outside the hamlet. Possibly passing drivers assumed it was an unusually festive funeral cortege. Nevertheless, with that and the articles in the Times, it didn't happen. Maybe Mario Cuomo axed it since it was an election year. From then on, you helped with all local causes and functions, behind the bar at library fundraisers, church finances, wine tastings at your house, playing the piano for sing-songs at Barnwell, and essentially becoming the de facto mayor of North Chatham. By then, you and Jan were so busy we didn't see much of you. But from your trip to Scotland, you brought us some Talisker whiskey, much better than our usual old plaid. And from France, yummy chocolate nibbles called the Tears of St. Joan. Most of us knew that if we had a problem, we could call George, which I did when I was badly scammed by a cost equivalent to the price of a fairly usable used car. One day we were walking down the street and I just happened to run into each other, the usual thing in North Chatham. And for some reason we started spouting out the beginnings of Chaucer's bit about the Pilgrim's Progress or whatever it was. And we got as far as when in April the blah blah blah. But your accent was much better than mine. I have to say that. You did the early English very well. So I will miss our chats at the post office, and I wonder how North Chatham will keep itself together without your cheery, competent self. Happy new home without property maintenance. What will David do?